Good afternoon, everyone. Today we'll be demonstrating MicroStrategy version 10 with Vertica version 7. What we've done was we built some dashboards with some content based on the Vertica samples database called vmart. And there's a number of different subject areas that are contained in the vmart database. If you noticed in the lower left-hand side here, we have different tabs. The first tab is representing online web sales from our website. The next tab is inventory. We have some information on vendor, customers, call center, store sales, as well as some of our store order information. So when this dashboard renders, every one of these visuals can be filtered based on the far left panel here. In this particular case, we have a slider that represents calendar year, or we can filter by transaction type. One of the design patterns that we've tried to incorporate is also the upper left-hand visual is also has the ability to filter these other visuals as well. So if you notice there, I just selected the email coupon type. You should see these different visuals refresh based on just that particular selection that I made there, email. And you just noticed that it did refresh. The visual on the right-hand side is what's called a scatter diagram, and it shows you a number of different things. The color reflects the percentage of the net dollar amount. So obviously, the darker the color, the higher the net dollar amount. The larger the circle reflects the sales quantity. So larger circle, darker is better. So we can hover our mouse over this particular bubble here and see that we're looking at a display provider of corporate, and the promotional media type is television, has the largest gross profit amount, as well as the largest sales quantity because of the size of the circle, and also it does have high promotional costs as well. So the things that's a little bit striking here on this particular use case, this corporate, these two different promotional media types, magazine is actually more profitable than the coupon in terms of they have about the same gross profit dollar amount, and yet the promotional cost for the magazine is lower than it is for the coupon. So that's what's nice about this visual. It really is a great way to very quickly see and compare different, in this particular case, promotional media types and which ones are most profitable relative to their cost. The other visual that we have here is another one that's a combination chart. We can look at our sales over time, in this case broken out by year, sales quantity, as well as the gross profit dollar amount. So we see there that it's been pretty flat, so we have some work to do in our sales as it relates to improving it. We did have a little bit of improvement from 2006 to 2007. The bottom visual is looking at each one of our promotions by sales quantity and the promotional cost again. So what's noticeable here is this particular case, we're looking at Christmas card sell-a-thon was actually a profitable one for us because we had a lot of sales and the promotional costs were relatively low. One of the nice things that we can do with this visual is simply right-click on any one of those bars and further drill into another particular business dimension. In this case, let's take a look at the advertising type. So every one of these bars, you have the ability to right-click and drill down into more information, and then it's going to present for this particular promotional type, which is custom Christmas cool sell-a-thon, the ad media type, which is what we clicked on before. And you can see there that the 1 minute, 30-second full page ad, we get most of our sales from our full page ad, and the half page ad is really about the same as the 30-second and 1 minute ad media types that we have. So once again, these are interactive, and if you noticed here, I'm still under Online tab, but I have the ability to navigate to take a look at and do further analysis on our web pages on our site. Just like I had before, I can easily filter by year or transaction type or by the customer region. On the lower right-hand side here, we have a visual called a heat map, and what's nice about this is you can see very quickly there, we're looking at the size of each one of these boxes, or in this case a web page, reflects the number of hits that we have, and then also the color reflects the percentage of sales quantity. So we can see there that the web pages that have the most number of hits are also ones that contribute to the largest sales quantity. So there's really no surprise there, but it's a great visual to use in order to confirm what your assumptions might be. In this particular case, on the lower left-hand side, we're looking at sales broken out by calendar month, and each one of the lines reflects a calendar year. So what's most noticeable about this particular case is that we do take, for the month of May, we tend for most of the years have an uptake in our sales relative to the average, which is what the line in the center reflects. I'm going to go ahead and navigate over to another tab. As I mentioned before, we have many different subject areas, and when this dashboard renders, you can see there, let's take a look at the line chart at the bottom. One of the things that's most noticeable to me is the fact that this green line really is all over the place. I mean, it's just all over the map. Let's take a look at that region. In this case, we notice that the green is reflected northwest region. Once again, we're looking at inventory, average inventory for that particular region. So let's do some further analysis. On the upper left-hand side here, average inventory over all time seems to be pretty equal. We can really hone in on this by picking a particular slice of this pie. Once, as I mentioned before, it becomes a filter for all of the other visuals on this dashboard. What's interesting on the far right-hand side here, we have a visual that breaks out our average inventory by whether or not it's a holiday or non-holiday. And you can see there that for all non-holidays, we have a pretty tight, consistent average inventory. But we're, once again, for our major holidays, Christmas, July 4th, and Valentine's Day, we really have a lot of work to do in the Northwest region. They have tremendous variability throughout the quarters as well as those holiday seasons. Having over 643 average for quantity in stock is just way beyond what if I select another region here like what the West might have. The Northwest region just has way too much variability when it comes to the average inventory. So if you noticed, I did select a different slice of the pie there, and the highest that we have for that particular region is 524. So indeed, there is some variability between the different holidays, but once again, not nearly as much as we had for the Northwest region. As I had before, I can navigate over to these different tabs in the bottom, and you can see there that when I do that, you'll see there that the dashboard will be refreshed based on whatever panel I did select. So let's go ahead and take a look at the vendor. We'll do some further analysis on the vendor tab. The vendor tab, we have some interesting visuals on it as well. You can see here that if I hover my mouse over the far right, the scatter is showing me the vendor everything wholesale. This particular case has the highest average deal size as well as gives us the most total number of orders, 140 million. So they're really the standout vendor that we sell to. So we want to make sure that whatever we do, we keep them happy. There's a little bit of a cluster here for the other ones. We have Frozen Farm and Ripe Discounters, and then over here, once again, what's nice about this widget or visual, it's really showing you three different things. The size of the circle reflects the quantity delivered, and the color reflects the percentage of row counts. And then you can see here the total order cost on the left-hand matrix axis, as well as the deal size. And then, of course, most of our vendors fall into this category down here. And every one of these, keep in mind, I can further drill into by just simply right-clicking and selecting another business dimension as I did before. And down here, we're looking at information broken out by state. So you can see the state of California is the highest, is then Texas, and looks like we're doing a lot of sales in Michigan as well. This other panel here we're still underneath the vendor tab, we can look at our vendors broken out by heat map. So what's interesting about this, there's our everything wholesale, nothing surprising about that. What I really like about this visual are the greens amongst the reds, because that's telling me in this particular case, we're looking at shipping costs relative to the quantity delivered. The size reflects the quantity delivered. The color reflects the cost. So what this is telling me is though Big Al's and Mart and Food Warehouse are doing quite well in terms of keeping their shipping costs low relative to the orders that they actually deliver. So what we might want to do is find out from these particular vendors, what are they doing differently that makes them be able to keep their shipping cost low. So the other tab I'm going to navigate here to is Customers tab. This tab breaks information out by our customers and over time, and you'll be able to see there that this information we have by calendar month, and also breaks it out by marital status. In the upper right hand side here, you can see the sales broken out by the deal stages that we have. You can see there that we use Salesforce, and our sales reps are what's most notable about this particular widget. It's just a simple grid, is the fact that most of our sales quantity are coming from a deal stage of blank. So we have, we know we need to talk to our Salesforce administrator about making sure that, as our sales reps enter in their deals, that they don't allow for a blank. So we have some data quality issues there to work on. The other thing that's nice about this particular case is that there's a lot of different ways to filter information. I can look at the highest percentage, the lowest percentage, or very simply by moving this this slider here. And so it's a great way to filter information very quickly. I'm going to navigate over to the Call Center tab. We have some fantastic visuals on this tab that I'd like to spend a little bit more time on. Our call center is responsible for handling sales volumes, and if you noticed here, once again, we're using that same design pattern where the upper left-hand side, this can filter out all of the widgets on this dashboard. On the right-hand side here, we're looking at gross profit by quarter. And we can see there that the 2005 quarter 3, we took a big hit. We know that we had some issues going on there with quality, so our sales really went down. But we've since recovered, which is good. The other visual I like to talk about is this third one here. We're looking at again a scatter diagram, and there, if I hover my mouse, there's our northwest region. We saw, if you remember before, they had a lot of variability in terms of their average inventory, and we can see here that their sales quantity are very low, and relative, and the shipping dollar amount relative to their peers. They're all clustered well together. This is the southwest region, the purple. The red reflects the Midwest, and as we move up the south, you can see there the west and then the East Coast. We are selling the most with our through our East Coast call center reps, and then the West, and each one of these reflects a different year for those different call centers. This visual is a fantastic visual. It's a network visual. What I'm going to do is, one of the things you can do is, it's a little bit small, so I'm going to maximize that so we can really see very clearly there what is actually happening. So these bigger bubbles reflect the warehouse region and where they ship their products to. The thickness of these lines reflects the gross profit, so the thicker means they're more profitable. The edge size reflects the sales quantity. So I can see there very clearly that the West region is doing the most amount of business in terms of gross profit and sales quantity. I can continue to see what states they're shipping to as well. So what's interesting is, if you notice, there are a couple areas here. If I hover my mouse over this one, for instance, the Northwest warehouse region is not very profitable, and since it's small, does not do much in sales dollar amount either. So we can see there that who this warehouse ships to, and it looks like they ship to just about everyone. So maybe that's part of the problem. We need to figure out a better way of breaking up our product lines so that they're serviced by other warehouses. Same with the Southwest. We see there that because it's red, that the Southwest warehouse ships to all of these different states, and such that, and that might be part of the reason why the gross profit is low for these different regions. But it's a great visual to very quickly see what exactly is going on for that particular use case. So I can do the same thing over here on this network visual for our call center managers. These reflect individuals, call center managers. Larry, for instance, is responsible for these different states, and the thickness of the line reflects, again, the gross profit, and the edge size reflects the sales quantity. So we can see there that Larry and Mark and Bob are all doing quite well as it relates to gross profit dollar amount, whereas some of these individuals might not be doing quite as well. In this particular case, as I hover my mouse over Felipe, you can see what states he is responsible for. And I can see here that Bob services New York, and that's red, meaning we're not very profitable there, so we can talk to him on that particular use case. So it's a great way to very quickly see what is going on, and it's called a network visual, and it's typically used for a from and to scenario situations, but as you can see, it can be used for other use cases as well. Here I have a tab for store sales, and when this dashboard renders, you'll see our information broken out by at the bottom here, calendar quarter year, for each of the different tender types that we have. It's pretty consistent across the various tender types, but it's a nice visual to see how we've done in terms of our sales quantity. Again, we have another heat map broken out by promotional ad type and coupon type. So we're looking at a couple different things here, and if you hover your mouse over those different visuals in the heat map, you can see exactly what it reflects. On the upper right, again, is another scatter diagram showing me sales dollar amount, quantity by store, square footage, and monthly rental cost. So, and then we also have another tab for store orders as well. And once again, we try to conform to having that design pattern where the left-hand side reflects a filter for you. I just selected American delivery there, and then when this query is actually firing off at least 2 different queries here to refresh it just based on whatever I select for the shipper name. So I'd like to conclude that this demo is based on the Vertica out-of-the-box vmart samples database, and we're using the MicroStrategy version 10 product for this particular demonstration. I hope it's been beneficial. Thank you.